previously, in the land of the wolf, White Paws and her family faced a courageous mother bear determined to protect her cubs. The Chubby's Bay is teeming with life. This year there are numerous moose in the surrounding woods. My father Raynald wants to follow the American redstarts nesting there, despite the presence of black bears. Even though Monique, Raynald, and I no longer have access to the eastern Kingbird's marsh, we discovered the pond of a female wood duck. Great observations to come. A familiar sight for the eastern bluebird family. The great Hiawatha, leader of the new Manatus pack. As the den is still far away, he takes a little rest without worrying the birds. It is a hot day, at least for a wolf weighed down by his stomach full of food intended for the pups. It takes a lot more than 23 degrees Celsius to slow down the birds. Hiawatha seems to enjoy watching the bluebirds and sparrows. Duty calls him. He is expected at the den. The slightest odor puts Hiawatha on alert. A bear? An outsider wolf? About 30 minutes later, he crosses the dead-end clearing which serves as the limit of the family rendezvous site. Even though we knew that our respect for the wolves was the key to being able to observe the pups, I admit that sometimes it was tempting to follow White Paws and Hiawatha to the den. What helped me to wait was the artistic part of me that is nourished by inspiration and dreams. Using Hiawatha, the breeding male of the pack, as a model, I tried to imagine what his young would look like. It is in this context that I painted an oil on canvas very close to reality before having seen one of the pups. Intuition combined with the magic of art. For a filmmaker like my father, things are more complicated. He must juggle between technique, ambient light, and of course, the collaboration of his subjects. A new challenge for Raynald. Filming the daily life of a female wood duck and her 3 ducklings. The tall grass is home to spiders and insects that the ducks feast on. The movements of the ducks and the diversity of the creatures they capture give the impression of a wild ballet featuring colorful characters. This strange butterfly is a Virginia's Chtenucha moth. It attracts the attention of the female wood duck. It is normal to see this species in the marsh, as its caterpillar feeds on iris leaves, rushes, and sedges. Raynald has left the wood duck's pond to go to Chubby's Bay, where Gisèle the woodchuck, the American redstarts, and perhaps more imposing subjects await him. As soon as my father stands motionless in the clearing, the great theater of the wild world will raise the curtain on its wonders. The surprise visit of this large lady moose and her calf worries a bit the female American redstart. She is wary of the damage these leaf eaters could cause to her nest. Fortunately, the foliage of the alder sheltering the brood does not interest the moose, who prefer willows, birches, and other flavorful plants. Raynald notices that moose are beginning to express unease that has nothing to do with his presence. The smell of a distant predator reaches their nostrils. The manatees prowl at the other end of the lake. The birds are not disturbed in any way by the wolf's song. The cow moose, for her part, takes no risks. Soon, all that remains is Gisèle, the birds, and a fulfilled filmmaker. There are surprising coincidences. While Raynald was filming the moose near the American redstart's nest in the Chubby's Bay, Monique and I were filming a cow moose and her calf at the wood duck's pond. In fact, we had to keep a camera pointed on the moose and another on the birds. We saw quite a show. What impressed us the most was the fascination of the little moose with the feeding ducks. The calf found it amusing to see the birds jumping here and there. I think it wanted to go play with them. We learn a lot from being around other species, even if we are a moose. It's time to groom and rest. The moose calf seemed to say to itself, "Nothing exciting to watch anymore." After the moose left, we were surprised by the behavior of the female wood duck. Deeming the surroundings safe, she left her ducklings without surveillance. The following days, we saw the female duck moving away from her young after periods of activity. Her absences lasted between 30 minutes to an hour. We supposed she was going to feed elsewhere to conserve the resources of the pond essential for the growth of her ducklings. However, there were a lot of dangerous predators in the surrounding area. The grasses and bushes of the wood duck's pond are teeming with life. And the discerning eye does not just find birds there. The largest spider in the land of the wolf breeds there. The impressive dark fishing spider, a devoted mother who watches over her offspring in the silk nest she has patiently woven. The synchronism of the baby spider's movements amazes me. Unlike its parents, this young raven does not threaten the wood ducklings. But beware of the fox on the hunt. It is like being in a fable by Jean de La Fontaine. The largest visitor to the marsh goes unnoticed in the canals built by the beavers, hidden by grasses. When the king shows himself in the open, he immediately captures the attention of the inhabitants of the marsh. Sometimes, the mother wood duck sees a more disturbing character prowling. Hiawatha has simply come to eat the remains of a prey. His presence therefore seems less threatening. Hiawatha's doings still remain under surveillance. Marking its cache before leaving is a natural behavior for a satiated wolf. Finally, he is gone. Mother Wood Duck can relax. This spider of the Araneus genus hopes to go unnoticed. This will be difficult given its size and the keen eyesight of wood ducks. The mother has spotted the spider. The height of its web provides it a certain security, but the bird has not said her last word. Even when getting closer, the prey remains out of reach. Eating without being eaten yourself. This is the challenge for each link in the food chain of the animal world. In nature, for obvious reasons of balance and survival, predators occupying a dominant rank, such as the wolf, are few in number in a territory. On the other hand, its herbivorous prey abound. My parents and I were not part of this food chain because we did not hunt or fish. As a result, we were not seen as prey or predators in the land of the wolf. The wild animals considered us in a class apart. However, conflicts were inevitable due to issues such as territory sharing and cohabitation. The baby American redstarts will soon leave the nest. Raynald would like to film this significant moment in the life of the nestlings, but there is a snag. My father knows enough about black bears to know this one is in a bad mood. However, he refuses to give in the bullying, knowing that most black bears like to bluff. Raynald is not impressed by the bear's faint charge. In fact, My father decides to ignore the bear and simply resume filming the birds. My father's diplomacy works wonderfully. The bear has calmed down and is slowly leaving. The filmmaker realizes that the nestlings will not come out of the nest today. The next day, there is something new in the Gadell clearing. American redstart parents are nervous because their young are going through a crucial stage in their development. The cool and wet weather makes the mosquitoes unbearable. Each baby bird will now be fed where it is. The beakful dropped by this little one is quickly picked up by the mother. Everything is going well for the young American redstarts, who are discovering their environment in a new light. They will still depend on their parents for a few weeks. The arrival of July revived our hopes for sighting the wolf pups. We therefore redoubled our efforts to keep watch in the sectors frequented by Hiawatha, White Paws, Calmy, and Lewis. Seeing them was always a stroke of luck. A wolf on the hunt tries to detect signs of weakness in a large prey. And that is exactly what Hiawatha intends to do, even if, at first glance, this imposing king seems in perfect health. The moose is not fooled. He sniffed out the wolf. He nevertheless tries to remain calm in the face of the pressure the leader of the Manatus exerts on him. Running away at a trot is tempting. The manatee's territory extended over approximately 600 square kilometers. To defend it, the members of the pack had to occupy it, travel through it, and mark it regularly to prevent foreign wolves from being tempted to settle there. Sometimes, Hiawatha went 2 or 3 days without coming at the rendezvous site, either because the hunting had not been good, or because he had to resolve a problem of wolf intrusion inside the family territory. When the absence of her mate was prolonged, White Paws became worried. One afternoon, she came to wait for him in the dead-end clearing. We suppose she had heard him announce his return through howls. Just by seeing the attitude of White Paws, we knew that Hiawatha was approaching. White Paws controlled her emotions because of our presence, while Comey greeted her father with respect. Louis arrived within seconds after Hiawatha. They all headed towards the den, in a secret place forbidden to us. These beautiful observations encouraged us. We felt that our expectations regarding the pups would soon be fulfilled. July was also synonymous with a reunion with Ginger, a vixen who allowed us to have contacts with her new litter of kits every summer. The next episode will give her an important role. You will discover with us how Ginger and her family managed to escape the wolves. Fireweeds and elderberries will transform the landscape of the plantations, to the great delight of moose and birds. My parents and I will experience the height of happiness when the pups, born at the end of April, make their first appearance in front of our cameras. A wonderful story to follow in the land of the wolf.
마흰근 외치나